Hi, Gary. Director Van Pelt will be zooming in. He's not here yet, but it is 5:30. So if everybody's ready, I would like to call the Santa Ynez Community Service District regular board meeting, Wednesday, December 15th, 2021, to order at 5:30 p.m.
Do a roll call vote. Director Redfern.
Aye.
Director Beard.
Here.
Director Jones.
Here.
Director D'Ambra.
Here.
And Director Van Pelt.
Okay.
Is absent.
Director Beard, can you lead us in the pledge?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Now, I see, it looks like Director Van Pelt is in. Yes, so all board members are here indeed. So before we get started with the meeting, just going around the room, do the directors have any comments or questions before we get into the meeting? Request something be put on a future agenda?
I have a question. I saw on the checks that we're still doing business with Chevrolet. Were we just buying parts from them, or do we still have everything served at Chevrolet?
We still do service at Chevrolet.
I can't imagine a more expensive place to go. Or
Well, there's
if our
places,
vehicles are old, I don't know why we need to take them to a dealership.
that was the place that would be able to do the services for the gauges and the other services that were required of the vehicles to be serviced at the time.
At the time,
Yes.
for that one time.
Yes.
I just, with the cash rooms that we think we're gonna be going into, I was just wondering if we were looking for another service.
We do use other services. We've used the place in Lundy's. We've used Lundy's and Solvent for
He's a great
services as
mechanic.
well.
There's a lot of good
Yes,
mechanics.
yes.
Just the only reason.
So we do look for options.
Right, good.
Director Beard? Okay, and Director D'Ambra, nothing. And how about you, Director Van Pelt? Do you have any comments or questions before we proceed?
Nothing at this time. Thank you, Karen.
Okay, thank you. And I had a question. Have we heard any more on the wrong news story? Has there been any kind of retraction or correction?
No, there has not.
Okay. I have nothing else. Is there public comment from a member of the public? This can't be something on the agenda, but something that you want to comment on related to the district.
I want to address the board tonight. Many of you know that I came here in 1979. I've been here a long time. I've seen many board members come and go. I've had many managers to come and go. And finally, I was extremely happy to see. Now, we used to have that we voted on our board members, and all of a sudden that was changed. And when I protested way back when, I was told that, oh, they put a notice on the board, on the door. And if you came by the door, I would have known about it. So I felt that was a little underhanded to change rules to where it took away the freedom of this valley to vote on our board members. But that being said, I accepted it, I moved on, and I was extremely proud of this board. I've known Frank, David, Bob, Karen now for a few years, and the only person I don't know is Van Pelt. And all of a sudden, we had a new board member. We didn't know anything about him. I've never seen him attend a board meeting other than Zoom. So I don't know what has happened among this board, but I do want to publicly address you. My career was, I was in a position with a Fortune 500 company in downtown Los Angeles. And my position called for me to go into different states, qualify us as an employer, and write all of the qualifications for every position, do a salary survey in that area so that every person that we hired was in the marketplace and that we knew that we could get the cream of the crop and hire the best. There was 7,000 employees. 75 of them was directly under my direction, and we were in 23 states. No one was hired, even through HR, unless I personally signed off on it, reviewed that they'd done a good job, and the person was well qualified for the position. So I feel that I'm a pretty much expert in that field. And when you hired Jose, I knew from the man himself that he was a good man. This man has embraced this community. He's done one hell of a job. And I know that you're not firing him because he's done nothing wrong. He could do no wrong. He's not the kind of man that could do wrong. He has been responsive to this community. He's been courteous. He has responded on time. He hasn't delayed, not even one day, on getting back to any request or anything. You can go out in the community and you can vouch for this. So I was extremely dismayed when I found out that he was going to leave and go to the city of Solvang. And what that tells me from my experience is, number one, either he's not paid enough money. Number two, the board is not giving him the leeway and the freedom to perform his duties. Or number three, there is some contention. There's not a team player on this board that is causing some kind of irritation. I don't know. But I'm addressing this board and I'm telling you to fix it. We all make mistakes, but there's never a mistake that cannot be undone. This man should never leave this facility. I know that you do all this stuff behind closed doors and all this stuff, and I had no idea in the past 2 months when you had these little closed sessions of labor, this, that, and other, that it was concerning Jose. If I had, I would have spoken up a little bit sooner. I don't need to know. It's none of my business to know why he's leaving. It's not. I do know this, that in my position, and Jarvis Ivy can attest to this, I spent many, many hours at night addressing nothing but personnel issues. And my door was always open, and they could come in and they could bring me a grievance, but they could not come through that door without offering a solution. So my question to you is, have you asked Jose what he needs to stay here? What would take to keep Jose?
Miss Ivy, I would like you to know that yes, we have. We love Jose, and we're very, very sad to see him leaving.
Well,
And he can
it needs
address
to be
that.
fixed. It needs to be fixed because this is costly to the community. And well, we've got to go through all of this over again. And evidently he was unhappy, but he stayed through this implementation of this sort. He didn't quit you in a lurch. He saw it through, and that's very admirable. But I'm just telling you, it is so costly and so disruptive to the community when we have these changeover in management that affects all of us. all of us in the community, and your job is to take care of the community. So Jose, I'm gonna play to you. What do you need? I want to ask you, I want you to call up Solvang and tell them to take that job and shove it. And I want you to get on with doing what you need to do for us. You've been too kind, too generous, and it's not in your nature. I know people. It's not in your nature to do this. So if it's money, we're gonna give it to you. You know, whatever it takes, because the money is gonna take to
Miss Ivy, I
replace
can
you
tell
with
you, I can
recruitment
tell,
and everything else. We could give it to you because you already know us.
Miss Ivy, I can tell you, none of the labor negotiations had anything to do with Jose.
I'm sorry,
None of the labor negotiations had anything to do with Jose.
okay.
It's our
We
regular
are
contract.
devastated that he's leaving and he knows it.
Well, we need to fix it.
And if there was a way to fix it, we would. This is a career move for him. If it was a matter of money, he'd be staying.
Well, I tell you guys, this is going to be another long journey for all of us. It really
Yeah.
is. Now, and I want to tell you, when I was talking to Karen, because you're coming up, you're going to have to find another manager, right? When I was talking to Karen about what a good pick Jose was, she told me, she said, well, Mrs. Ivy, I want you to know that he didn't have some of the qualifications that other applicants had, but he was the best man for the job. Isn't that what you told me?
Absolutely.
And I say to that, and I want to remind everybody that the Ark was built by amateurs and the Titanic was built by professionals. That's my comment to that. So you have to look at the individual and what they bring to the table. And so, Jose, I'm sorry that you're leaving. I really am. If there was any way I can help to keep you, if you need a recommendation, anything, I'd be more than happy to do it, because I thought you were a perfect fit, and I'm devastated that you're leaving.
The only response I can give is thank you for everything you said this evening. We do have a matter on the agenda to discuss my evaluation, and I do not want to discuss any grievances or anything like that out in public. I will address the board.
Oh,
and
sure.
we'll have that
Sure,
discussion.
it's not
But I
my business.
appreciate everything you have said.
But whatever that grievance is, fix it.
Now,
That's all
I
I'm
wasn't saying
asking.
that I had grievances, but I will have dialogue with the board and that during
Well,
the evaluation.
You just need to fix it, because this is costly to the community.
I have one other thing to respond to. You will still get a vote in elections. What happened is one of the incumbents didn't file to run. So we had 3 open seats. Director Redfern, me, and then Director Mueller didn't run. So we had to replace him. And we had people come forward. Director Van Pelt has great qualifications, and he's been to many of the meetings, but he was working in Germany the last few months. But I think that you will get to know him and see that he has a lot to offer. You will get to vote in 2022 for 2 of the board seats will be up. So that's not a done deal. It was a matter of just 2 people running for 3 seats. The county didn't put it on the ballot. I was kind of disappointed too. Yeah, because it felt like we were appointed and not elected.
Well, I just think that it's a good team. I
do
really
too.
do. I thought it was a wonderful team. I could see us going into the future, and all this other stuff through the years was behind us, and we had a bright future. And I am really devastated about Jose leaving. I really am, because he's been so responsive to the community. And if he can't be happy here and he needs to leave, that's his personal decision, and I wish him well. But we've got to find somebody like him that will embrace the community. Okay?
Completely agree. And I also really agree with what Director Beard said. You don't know the half of it. We were all like that. I mean, we have been very happy with Jose, and you know, it's for him to address why he's leaving and,
Well,
yeah.
you know,
I mean,
That's
we're
a
willing to
personal
vote
thing.
on him staying right now.
Yeah, if we could, right
well, I
now,
just wanted you to know how I felt.
and I like that, and
We
I'm glad
all
that he
feel the
got to
same
hear.
way.
Yes, and I'm glad you heard that, Jose, that, you know, you are gonna be missed from the public and the board. Okay, yes, Gary.
Well, two things. Sorry to see you're leaving, Jose. Good luck in your new position. I know we always have to move on. Second thing is, we're inside right now. Where are your masks?
I've got mine right here.
I'm sorry, but we saw this at the last special board meeting. No one's wearing masks.
We're sitting
I
to
have-
6 feet
I have an
apart.
immunocompromised daughter living in my house right
I'm gonna get mine.
now. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I thought if we had all been vaccinated, I had all three. of
Doesn't
our
matter.
vaccinations. Okay.
Omicron doesn't care if you're vaccinated.
Okay.
Well, thank you. And any other public comments?
When do we have a mask in the office?
Well, I have a comment on that.
Yes,
Mandates are illegal, period, end of discussion.
yes, I make my own choices and I know that I am safe. Okay. So, any more public comments before we move on? And hear from our general manager then. Jose Acosta is going to give us a report.
Pretty tough act to follow, Mr. Acosta.
Want to report that we did have an employee this past month submit notice of he's leaving. He's moving back down south where he originally came from, and he's accepted employment. Well, he has actually not found employment now. He's moving down there closer to family. So we started the recruitment process. We received 4 applicants that were qualified for the OIT position, and we conducted interviews today. We feel we have a solid candidate that we're going to make an offer to tomorrow and hopefully have him here within the next couple of weeks. Being shorthanded can cause the stress on the staff. And also we have our operations supervisor who's currently out on a medical leave of absence. So that is definitely causing more of a shortage in staffing at this time. We're hoping to get this new applicant in here, train him up and get him going. During that time, our one collections operator who is here has done a great job stepping up and taking on the role and taking on duties of the supervisor. And also the hiring of Jeremy Chaya, who's the chief plant operator down at the wastewater treatment plant, was beneficial in this instance, is that he has 24 years of experience, most of that in a supervisory managerial capacity. So he's been able to assist in that area as well. He's expressed his willingness and ability to step in and assist in any of the responsibilities that the board may need in my absence or any of the operators' absence as well. Him and Wendy are a great team. They work great together, and so we have that benefit of having him around as well. Horizon capacity fees, that's what we've worked on this last month. You saw we presented that at the last special board meeting. So that's where we are with the capacity fees. We have 2 applications for the payment plan this evening to discuss and approve. I've been working on the formation of the ad hoc committee and scheduling a meeting for the ad hoc committee to sit through tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. So we'll be conducting that as well. That's all I have for general manager's report.
Okay, then we'd like to hear from Mr. Battles for the legal report.
I don't have a report tonight.
Okay, then let's move on to Secretary Treasurer Wendy Berry.
I don't have a report either.
Okay, and for the committee reports, we have closed session on the bargaining later. And were there any financial committee or any other committee meetings that we need to report?
No.
Okay, then I would like to move on to the consent items. Items on the agenda considered routine. So we're looking to approve the regular meeting of November 17th, the special meeting of December 8th, and the treasurer's report of approval of disbursements for November 16th through December 10th. Everyone on the board has got that in the packet, but if there's anything that you would like to correct, change, add that.
We do have a change on the minutes. The right below where it says minutes of November 17th and December 8th, The meeting was held via teleconference pursuant to Governor's Executive Order N-29-20. That's actually should be changed to AB 361. So I'll revise the minutes to state that.
Okay.
I
Are there
make a
any?
motion to approve as stated by Wendy.
Okay, very good. And do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, so we have a motion by Director Beard, a second by Director Redfern. Wendy?
Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. We have a motion by Director Redfern a motion by Director Beard and a second by Director Redfern to approve the consent agenda with the change to include AB 361 on the minutes. We'll do a roll call vote. Director Redfern,
Aye.
Director Beard,
Aye.
Director D'Ambra,
Aye.
Director Jones,
Aye.
Director Van Pelt.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Very good. Now we'll move to the action items. And 8A is a public hearing on the new capacity fees for Highway 246, undercrossing Horizon Drive and Sirline Extension, and amending existing capacity fees. So Jose,
So we'll open the public hearing at 5:51.
okay.
And are there any comments from the public? What about on Zoom?
There is a board member and legal counsel with you. Double
So
check.
with no comment from the public, we can close the public hearing,
Okay, so the public hearing is closed.
5:52.
And we will move on to one, consideration and adoption of resolution 2115. Jose?
So we're looking for board to adopt resolution 2115, setting forth the findings, approving preliminary environmental review form, and authorizing filing notice of exemption relating to adoption of capacity and ordinance. This is the sequel that we have to conduct to file the ordinance for the fees, though, and also the 246, the Horizon Drive, and amending the capacity fees that were adopted earlier this year. So this is just a sequel documents that need to be approved by the board so that we can submit them.
Okay, so do we have a motion? A motion to adopt resolution 2115, that we are filing an exemption notice regarding adoption of the capacity fee ordinance. Anybody have any questions about it? Okay.
No, I'll make that motion.
Director Beard has made the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is it Director D'Ambra seconded? Wendy?
Okay, so we have a motion by Director Beard and a second by Director D'Ambra to adopt resolution 21-15, resolution of the Board of Directors of the San Ynez Community Services District, setting forth findings, approving preliminary environmental review form, and authorizing filing notice of exemption relating to the adoption of the capacity fee ordinance. We'll do a roll call vote. Director Redfern,
Aye.
Director Beard,
Aye.
Director Jones,
Aye.
Director D'Ambra,
Aye.
Director Van Pelt.
Aye.
Motion passes.
So the second part of this agenda item is to adopt ordinance of the San Ynez Community Services District, revising existing capacity fee ordinance, approving new capacity fees for the Highway 246 undercrossing and the Horizon Drive project, and amending the sewer code. The district adopted sewer code ordinance 09804, which states the district will charge a capacity fee at the time the parcel connect to the district's system. The district's current fees are $63.36.98, and they will increase to $99.95.96 May 1st. The Highway 246 undercrossing came in at a total of $135,996, and the Horizon Drive cost came in at a little over $1.3 million. So what we're looking to do is compile the ordinance, adopting the ordinance, allowing the district to charge these fees to the residents who make the connections at Horizon Drive and any future connections that require the capacity fees throughout the district as well. The current district capacity fees were amended to include ADUs, which were not included in the original adoption of the capacity fees earlier this year. The new Horizon Drive Extension project, we included the Highway 246 undercrossing, which we discussed last week as well. So what we're looking to do is adopt this ordinance inclusive of all three of those changes.
Does anybody have any questions before I call for the motion?
I have a question.
Yes.
Now that there's sewer, I mean, for the whole district, and some laws have been changed allowing people to have more than one unit. Does this encompass that, or are we gonna make more regulations or law or bylines for us to follow for extra units put on the parcels?
We're discussing, we're talking about the law that California is coming up with 4 ADUs on a property. I believe we may have to review our ordinances, our capacity fees to be inclusive of those changes.
That's
Right now we have 1 ADU, correct?
I don't know about the numbers of ADUs, but we can charge for capacity fees as long as it's a new structure. If it's an existing structure that they're converting, we cannot. So we might have to look at what our sewer code shows for how many buildings can be connected onto a private sewer. But as far as the capacity fees, as long as it's a new building, we can charge capacity fees. But if it becomes like if they're building an office and we get a permit, the county asks us for a letter for that, we can't charge capacity fees because we don't charge capacity fees based on an office. We only charge capacity fees based on an ADU.
So any new structure on a property designated as an ADU, we can't charge capacity fees for.
Repeat that, please.
Any new structure built on a property designated as an ADU, we can't charge capacity fees for that. So if someone decides to add another granny unit on their property, then we can charge capacity fees for that.
That's per
That's
unit.
In addition to what we agreed to last week. I mean, I thought you made a resolution last week for us signing up, the capacity fees was gonna stay that.
So the
But it
capacity,
only applies if we want to put a granny unit.
if you want
The
to add
new
another
fees
structure,
would apply to that?
yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And those fees would be the 9,000. After May would be the 9,000.
Instead of the 6.
Yes.
I would like a little clarification from Mr. Battles. An existing unit, if it's a freestanding unit, but pre-existing, there will not be an additional capacity fee.
The law is pretty complicated and it just got more complicated at the beginning of the year with respect to accessory dwelling units. The shorthand answer is you can charge a capacity fee if the new unit is not within the existing space of either a single family dwelling or an accessory structure, if it's new construction, or if you have a newly constructed single family residence that includes an ADU. So what this new ordinance says is just that under the government code, this is where you can charge a capacity fee for an ADU, and those are the only circumstances where you can charge a capacity fee for an ADU. So that's provided for. We charge a separate capacity fee for ADUs only in those cases where the law allows us to, and there are limited circumstances. If you convert existing space into an ADU, you can't charge a capacity fee. If it's new construction, you can, sort of the shorthand. In addition to that, though, there's the new law that allows subdivision of any residential lots into 2 lots, and then you can have 2 units on each of those. We put into this ordinance a provision that says the capacity fee applies to the lots that are identified. And this is with respect to specifically Horizon and the Highway 246 undercrossing. for all of those identified lots, each of those lots pays a capacity fee, and each lot into which they're subdivided pays a capacity fee because you'd have a separate residence on each of those. And under our ordinance, if you've got two single-family residences on a single lot, each of those single-family residences would pay a full capacity fee. So I think that this ordinance does cover us under the new, relatively new or recently amended ADU legislation. And I think it also does cover us under the new legislation that allows subdivision of lots and then construction of two homes on each single-family lot.
Okay, does anybody, Ms. Ivy, did you have a question?
Well, you're strictly talking about new construction. If you added a bathroom in your house, say you put a bathroom in your bedroom now, would there be an increase in capacity, or is it only new construction?
New construction.
Okay.
Well, and in addition, you would only pay a new capacity fee if you created a new dwelling unit. If you expand an existing dwelling unit, there's no requirement for the payment of an additional capacity fee.
Adding a wing for like
Right,
a mother-in-law.
yeah,
or yeah.
okay, great.
Okay, any other
Did we answer your
questions?
question, Gary?
I don't like it. And I'll tell you why, because I have a daughter moving out of state, and she's gonna be here 3 months a year, and their farm's down during the winter. And we were thinking of putting in an ADU just for she and her boyfriend to live in during those 3 months. And you're gonna charge me $9,000 plus a monthly fee every month. We're not increasing our use of the sewer. We're downsizing. We've got fewer and fewer people. We had 7 in the house at one time. Now we have 2.
Unfortunately, it's based off of unit fixtures. It's not based off of your usage. It's based off of unit fixtures in the house and the potential for those uses. And that's why the ADUs are based that way, based off of the ability for people to rent those out or use them full-time 12 months a year. So I would say you can always make a presentation or a plea to the board to review your special circumstances when that time comes.
So then, if Mr. Battles, maybe you'll answer this. If I have an existing structure and I want to increase the size of it, does it already have to be connected to my septic system?
Did you hear that, Mr. Battles?
Does it only need to be connected to what? I missed the last part.
Does it already have to be connected to my septic system?
I believe Gary is asking if he has an existing structure that isn't plumbed, isn't hooked into the sewer at this point, and he's just going to take that, maybe it's a game room, a pool room, and he's going to turn it into an ADU. Does that count as an existing structure that he won't have to pay a capacity fee on? Is that right?
Yes.
You don't have to pay a capacity fee to the district if you convert a portion of an existing structure into an ADU so that you've got different dwelling units. You have to pay 2 monthly service charges if you have 2 different dwelling units. But as far as whether or not you'd have to connect the entire structure now to the sewer because you're putting in an ADU, I think the county might require that when they approve the ADU if there's a sewer in front of your property.
Sounds like illegal stuff. I didn't understand it.
So I think what Gary's asking, and I believe, is if he were to go build this addition to his house, to the existing structure, does it already need to be connected to his septic system today? I do not believe so, because you're already paying the capacity fee based off of your current structure, and all you're doing is adding to that structure, so there's no additional capacity fees for that.
And beyond that,
Did I answer that?
he's not paying a capacity fee at all if he's not connected
This
to
is,
the system.
see, I understood the question. You're saying a freestanding, like a pool house or a, pool shed, and you convert that to an ADU, would that be subject, since it's a already pre-existing structure, it's not new build, but it's going to be newly connected to the sewer?
If it's,
Your best answer there is call environmental health. Environmental health.
In the county?
Yeah, they're the ones that are gonna sign off on it, okay?
Why are they gonna sign off?
Because they're the one who's gonna, first people you can get your permit from is gonna be the county. Environmental health is one of the first people you'll have to talk to do anything about building. To make sure you have leach line, if you want to expand your septic, they may, like your question, say, no, you can't use the septic when you have a sewer line out in front, or they may say, yeah, use it. You don't have to if you haven't had a problem. So I think for clarity and is to go to call environmental health. They're very cooperative. They try to accommodate your request as fairly as possible, and I think they'll give you the straight answer.
Yeah, I don't think they would, if it's an existing structure on your property that you're converting, I don't think there's a capacity fee from what I'm understanding.
Right.
that's right,
I understand it that way as well. And the reason
right.
it's the county is because the state is putting pressure on counties to, add housing. So I don't know that the county of Santa Barbara is thrilled with the state changes or not, but it's the law now. Is that correct, Rick?
Correct,
He said, right.
correct.
Okay. Any other questions about it before I call for a motion? Okay, well, then I am looking for a motion to adopt ordinance 02104 to increase our capacity fees.
I'll make that motion.
Director Van Pelt has made the motion. Is there a second?
I'll make the second.
Director DeAmber's made a second, so maybe if you could take a vote.
Okay, we have a motion by Director Van Pelt and a second by Director DeAmber to adopt ordinance 021-04, ordinance of the San Ynez Community Services District revising existing capacity fee ordinances, approving new capacity fees for Highway 246 and Horizon Drive projects, and amending the sewer service code. We'll do a roll call vote. Director Redford.
Aye.
Director Van Pelt.
Aye.
Director Beard.
Aye.
Director DeAmber.
Aye.
Director Jones.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, then we will move to installment payment agreement for 141350003. And are we going to do these individually, these two installment plan requests?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so we'll take B, which is the number I just read. And are there any, well, let's go ahead and get the staff report.
Okay, so APN number 141350-003 is for Mr. Waples at 3063 Horizon Drive. He has signed the installment payment agreement, and it's a 20-year term, 4.25% interest, and his total capacity fees are $68,199, $199.76. His annual payment will be $2,548.07 in December and in April, for a total of $5,096.14 per year put on the property tax roll. If the board approves the installment payment plan tonight, they will authorize district staff to publish the protest hearing and bring the approval resolution back to the board at the January meeting.
Okay, and does it matter how long? We don't need to do a special meeting for that. It's fine. It's still
No,
timely.
there's a certain requirement of notice that you have to publish it, and there's a certain number of days. So
it has to be the next meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
especially with all the holidays and stuff.
Okay, well, do we have a motion to approve the payment agreement for 141350003?
I'll make that motion.
Dr. Beard has made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Wendy?
All right, we have a motion by Director Beard and a second by Director Deambra to accept the costs and the term in the agreement, approve the installment payment plan for APN number 141-350-003. Direct staff to publish a protest hearing and bring the approval resolution back to the board in January. We'll do a roll call vote. Director Redford,
Aye.
Director Van Pelt,
Aye.
Director Beard,
Aye.
Director Deambra,
Aye.
Director Jones.
Hi.
Motion passes.
Then we shall move on to C, which is installment payment agreement for 141-350-016.
Okay, so same thing. We have another installment payment plan for Mr. and Mrs. Ivy at 3066 Horizon Drive. Same terms, 20 years, 4.25% interest. And because she has already paid the annexation fee and the administration charge through her property tax over the last 15 years probably, her total cost for connection would be $66,204.98 with an installment payment in December and April of $2,473.54 for a total on her property tax bill every year of $4,947.08.
Okay. Any public comment? Yes.
I just wanted to ask the board and get a clarification on something. If I pay this in full prior to you advertising it, do I still have to pay the $500 for the publication of it, the advertising? I know I have to pay $500 for the administrative fee. But if it's paid in full prior to, I'm only doing this to save time. And I understood that I can pay it in full at any time. Is that correct?
Yes.
But if I pay it in full before you ever publish it, do I pay the $500 for the publication?
Wendy, how much lead time would you need there?
Is if you think that you're gonna pay it in cash, we can hold off on advertising it.
Oh, okay. And my other thing, there's a time limit. I think of 1 year, it says, for us to connect. And I want to make the board aware that last month, when I made you aware that I didn't have a bid, I couldn't get a contractor. I don't know who called whom, but the very next morning before 8:30, I got a call and the guy told me that, yes, Mrs. Ivy, I'm going to commit to doing yours, so you don't have to worry about it. And I said, well, that's great. I can't commit to you until you tell me how much you're going to charge me. And so he said, well, you know, he had 15,000 excuses, but he said he would have it to me shortly after Thanksgiving. Well, now it's been a whole month and I still don't have a bid. So I have no idea. So my question is, do you think I should just, there's 4 guys now here in the valley. Do I need to go out of town and find somebody else? I'm making you aware again that I'm having a problem finding me a contractor that will at least give me a bid, because I can't get it done if somebody doesn't come do it.
Have you talked to Specialty? Have you talked to those guys? If they don't do a job like that, I would guess their tentacles could reach out and know somebody who does that. It's basically a backhoe and laying of some line and then just pumping your old septic tank and filling it with gravel.
Yeah.
I would think those guys have been very accommodating. They might be a good
Just
source.
somebody with a backhoe and get a plumber. I've got a plumber that would connect me, but I don't have anybody with a backhoe.
Well, you can rent a
So
backhoe.
these contractors was telling me they come in and they do everything. They go to the Santa Barbara County, they get my permit, they give you the plan, they do all this, they get your approval, they get you to come out and approve it. And I don't have to do anything except write them a check. And I said, well, that's great. I love that. But how much do you write the check for? And I can't get anyone. They tell me they've been out and they've surveyed my property, but I can't get a bid. And that makes me nervous because I don't know why, you know? So I'll just do whatever I need to do, but I just wanted to make the board aware that these contractors around here is not being very accommodating to the people when they're calling and trying to get it done.
I understand that. I deal with that daily. If for some reason you can't get it done within a year, I'm sure this board would vote to give you an extension if you had a valid reason.
Okay.
Gary?
Peggy, may I give you a suggestion? Call them every day. That's what I had to do.
Oh, did you finally get a response?
Oh, yeah, I finally got 3-4 responses, actually 3. One guy said he would come out and never did, but I know who I'm going with.
Was it Craig?
Was it who?
Craig?
No.
Okay.
You just gotta call them. Write
Okay,
emails.
What I would ask Mrs. Ivy, if you call them tomorrow on Friday, and by Monday you don't hear anything, give us a call. Wendy and I will call some contractors out of town maybe and see if we can look up some contractors out of town as well.
Yeah, well, you know, I was trying to do it local. And I thought it would be less costly if a contractor didn't have to travel,
Yes.
you know, and I got concerned about the pipe, and I went and bought all the pipe I need. I had it because I was afraid they'd come out there and then they couldn't get the supplies.
Yeah.
I said, I don't want any excuses, you know, kind of thing, but okay, I'm sorry, I just,
now I've got a
Why don't
couple
you
of
make
names of
aware of
places
that?
too that I can give you guys to share. Okay, so is that the end of public comment? Then we can close the public comment. When you get the time? 6:17. Okay. Any other questions? Can we get a motion then
I'll make
to
that
approve the
motion.
installment payment plan?
I'll second it.
Okay, so Director Beard made the motion. It was seconded by Director Redfern.
Okay, so we have a motion by Director Beard and a second by Director Redfern to accept the costs and terms in the agreement, approve the installment payment plan agreement for APN number 141-350-016. Direct staff to publish a protest hearing and bring the approval resolution back to the board. With the request of Mrs. Ivy not to publish it, and you let me know.
yeah,
And then,
sure.
it might have to be the, like, if you delay it, it might have to be the February board meeting.
I'll be notified when it's gonna be published.
Well, I
and-
won't publish it until you tell me to publish it,
Oh, okay,
okay?
that's good, okay. But does that stall my time?
Yes.
Well,
Oh.
you'll have to,
Okay, all right, I'll
so
go,
if you
okay.
wait 2 or
I
3
understand.
weeks, we won't be able to advertise it until for the February meeting.
But when you advertise it, are we gonna be aware of what paper it's advertised and that kind of stuff?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
we'll do a roll call vote. Director Redford,
Aye.
Director Van Pelt,
Aye.
Director Beard,
Aye.
Director Deambra,
Aye.
Director Jones.
Hi,
Motion passes.
very good. Okay, now we're going to move on to election of board president and vice president and appointment of committee members. I have had a request to carry this over to the January meeting for more information. Apparently, I'm just going to make the motion to carry the election of officers until January. And if I get a second, we'll discuss it. And if not, we'll move on.
And the request was,
To give more time to get the vision of the person and people that want to be officers, to see what their overall vision for the district is. So I made a motion to put that on the January agenda. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, so a motion by me and a second by Director Van Pelt, and we can discuss it before we take the vote. So are there any public comments?
So why are you postponing it?
Because there was a lot of jockeying for position, and at least one board member wanted to know the overall direction that the board is going to take before they decide who wants to lead them and who they want to have at the helm.
But it's you guys, right? It's-
Yes, yes, it's among ourselves, and to have clarity on our mission statement and how we go forward. At least one director had some questions about that before they decided how they wanted to vote.
So nobody has stepped forward?
Yes, a couple people have, and so there's 5 of us, so to come to agreement, we can discuss what our vision is, and if the different people who want to be president have conflicting visions, then the board will talk, ask questions, and make a decision.
I
So
think
this
we
is
know.
This is done strictly among you guys?
Yes,
I think we know who, what our strengths and weaknesses are, what our directions are by our votes. I mean, it's so parallel. I don't see anything tentacles going either to the left or right. I personally think I'd like to do it tonight. That's my feelings.
I do too.
I agree.
okay. Then we could go ahead, a motion, a second, but we can take it to a vote and
Yeah.
make it official.
If I could just interject, I just want to remind you of the Brown Act requirements. There are limitations on your ability to discuss
You're cut out, Rick.
now in the next meeting.
What was that? You cut out quite a bit.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are you able to hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to remind the board of the Brown Act
Yes,
We didn't hear.
and the fact that there are limitations on your ability to discuss this issue between now and the next meeting outside of a noticed meeting.
no, we were talking about discussing it at a notice meeting, but what I'm saying is at least 3 board members were talking about it outside of the meeting tonight, and questions were raised, and so to be able to talk about direction and what the vision is going forward, that was the question.
Yeah, and that discussion would take place at a notice board meeting, the next meeting in
Yes,
January, not in. between.
yes.
Okay.
And I think it's good to give us a little refresher there, Rick, about having a quorum of board members in discussion about something outside of a meeting.
Okay, well, basically, you can't have more than 2 board members discuss an item of district business, you know, either together or through a serial meeting where Director A conveys information to Director B, who conveys it to Director C. So the tipping point is when the 3rd director is involved in the discussion.
Could everybody hear Rick's answer?
No.
Okay, so Frank Redford didn't hear. Did you have a question about it?
Right, well, it was garbled for me, so I don't have a question because I couldn't hear what he said.
If I,
Is-
I can say,
Is my audio not working?
you're breaking up, Rick.
Kathy,
Okay, I could try calling in on my telephone and see if that's got a better connection.
Let me try at explaining to Director Redford what you said, and correct me if I'm
Okay.
wrong.
Okay,
I believe what Rick is saying is outside of a posted meeting, no 3 directors can have a quorum or discussion on any topic that's related to district business. And you cannot have the spoke where one person speaks to one board member, then speaks to a second to get a group of 3 people to agree on something, more than 3 people. And so that's what Rick is saying.
correct.
You understand, right? Okay, and Director Van Pelt, did you have a question or comment?
No questions, no comments, just
Oh, I think you're
interested.
muted.
me. Can you hear me now, Director Jones?
Yes.
Yeah, no questions or no comments. I understand the clarification from our council.
Okay, so
We have a motion
We have
and a
a-
second.
we have a motion on the table with a second. So the motion by Director Jones is to postpone the appointment of the board president, vice president, and board committees at the January meeting. And we have a second by Director Van Pelt, so we'll do a roll call vote. Director Redfern,
No.
Director Van Pelt,
Aye.
Director Beard,
No.
Director Deambra,
No,
and Director Jones.
Yes, so the noes have it, so
So
we'll
the
go ahead
noes
and
have it.
go forward. So at this point, I will turn it over to our general manager.
Yes, ma'am. So what the board has discussed at the last time we took president nominations is it would be turned over to the general manager so that I can open the floor for nomination of a board president. Once a nomination is made, the general manager will ask for a second on that nomination, and we'll do a roll call vote on that nomination. If there's a unanimous decision on that, then we would appoint that person as the president for the board.
It does not have to be unanimous,
Well, it has to be a 3-2 vote.
right, a majority vote.
Yes, majority.
Yes.
Not unanimous, I apologize. Majority vote.
And if I could, if I
Please do,
could
Rick.
just clarify, are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. When we say that a nomination is made, that really is going to be a motion that someone be elected for that position. I think we use the term nomination synonymously with motion there, and then there would be a second to the motion. So that's what that's how we technically characterize it.
Thank you, Rick.
And then in the election, are we doing names or taking one at a time as far as nominations?
One at a time under this procedure. So
Okay.
vote on a person. If they don't pass, then you move on and have a motion for a second nominee.
Okay, did everyone hear that okay?
Yes.
So at this time, I'm asking for a motion for a nomination of board president.
I'll make a motion for Mr. Beard.
Thank you.
I'll make one for Karen.
What was that?
I nominate Karen.
Okay, we need to wait and see if there's a second on the motion for Director Beard.
So we have a motion from Director Deambra for Director Beard to be board president. Do I have a second? No, no, he did not. I do not have a second. So at this time, I will open the floor for a motion for another nomination.
Mrs. Jones.
At this time, I have a motion by Director Redfern to nominate Director Jones as president for the coming year for the board of directors. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a motion by Director Redfern to nominate Director Jones as board president, and I have a second by Director Jones. to
I
nominate-
wasn't aware that we could second ourselves for a nomination for ourselves.
Rick, can the nominee second the motion for themselves?
Yes,
Okay, I wasn't aware of that, or I would have seconded it.
Well, does that eliminate him?
No.
Could we start with a clean slate here since we were a little,
Director, Rick, how do you suggest we handle this as Director Beard was unaware that he could have seconded the motion for him to be nominated as board president?
one approach would be to make a motion to, oh, this gets a little complicated. So one approach would be to have the maker and the seconder of the second motion agree to let the first motion proceed to see if there's a second on that one. And then there'd be a vote on Director Beard, and then we go back to the second motion. The other would be a motion to table the second motion until the other one went forward, in which case there'd be a motion, a second, and a vote on that. So we should ask first if the makers of the second motion are willing to give the first motion priority to see again if there's a second.
I'm not.
I'm not either. I didn't realize that we didn't get to select 3 people or 2 people all at the same time. I didn't know it was first in at the first shot. So
Okay, so that motion that the nominees for the second motion are not allowing for the first motion to be revisited. But
Okay, so-
you provided a second option, which is to make a motion to delay.
To table the motion on that is currently under consideration, and have another motion go ahead of it.
And have the first motion revisited.
Yeah.
I have a question, Rick.
Director
If we were to
Director
make,
Van Pelt?
if we were to make a motion to table the motion before us, could we then make a motion again to discuss this matter at a January meeting? Or do we have to make a motion to go back into a vote for president?
I think you can make that the motion you just mentioned.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to table this motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, so we have a motion by Director Van Pelt to table the nomination process. Is that what it
The
is?
nomination.
Oh, yes, go take it, Jose.
So Director Van Pelt, you made a motion to table the second nomination, or you made a motion to table the nomination of a board president until the January board meeting?
I made a motion to table the second nomination per the advice of Mr. Battles. And then we will make a second motion, I believe, is the proper protocol. So,
You could combine them.
okay, then I will combine them. I'll make a motion to table this election of a president, the second motion. And I will also make a motion to discuss this matter in the January meeting.
Okay, so we have a motion by Director Van Pelt and a second by Director Redfern to table the second nomination of Director Jones as president and to discuss the appointment of board president, vice president, and board committees at the January meeting.
I don't know if that's quite right.
I believe that's what I understood.
Okay, but we're not tabling the second motion
He did.
Yes.
He
that's-
tabled the second motion and then also tabled the overall.
and the first motion, the whole
Yes.
package. That's what I'm,
Yes.
conveying, because Frank and I didn't want to table our motion in second.
But that's what, is that not what you said, Director Van?
So there is a motion by Director Van Pelt to delay the second nomination for Director Jones as president, but also to table the discussion of nomination of board presidents, vice president, and committee members to the January meeting. I do not believe we received a second at the time.
Okay,
So now Director Redfern is second.
Yes.
I think I follow what you're saying.
Okay, so at this time, I will take a roll call vote.
Well, is this open for public comment?
Yes, because there's a different.
Because this is the problem. This right here is the problem. You guys are not on the same page. You're even delaying the functioning of you guys for another 30 days because you're not on the same page. That's the problem.
Miss Ivy, I would like
You need
to
get your
speak up.
act together. And you
Miss Ivy,
should
I'd like to
not
speak up.
have a Zoom meeting that's out and you can't even hear them.
Miss Ivy,
Can you
I'm
hear-
sorry. I disagree with you. This is a democratic process. We are doing the right thing. In my eyes, there is a deeper discussion. And as a board, we need more time to discuss people's visions so we make the correct judgment. Of course, we can go into lengthy debates here, but I believe that for the safety of the board, our constituents, that it would be wise for us to table this discuss it further so we make the right decision so that everybody, including the public, are happy with our decision and we as a board are happy. I do not see how this is an incorrect decision at this time.
Why was it on the agenda? Why was it on the agenda if you were not going to address it tonight? Why was it put on December 15th in the middle of Christmas when you knew people were not going to come because they're so damn busy? And me and Gary are only here because our property was on and we were demanded that we needed to be here. But
It's
you
on,
put all of
it's,
these other things in here
Ms.
also
Ivy,
on the
it's-
same meeting because the public would not be here. And then, even though the public is here, you're not respecting or having yourself on the same page.
Ms.
I'm not
Ivy, it's done
disrespecting
every-
you, Miss Ivy.
it's
Frankly,
done- It's done every December meeting.
I know, it's on the agenda for December.
It's on
Every
every
December.
year in December.
Yes. So why aren't we taking care of it?
This has come up since it was put on the agenda.
We have a new board member. He's still learning the ropes. So everybody needs more time.
Oh, honey, I've heard that for years. I've heard that for years, and I've had to sit through the training of new board members. I have. I've had to sit through the training of new presidents. I've had to sit through the training of everybody. And we have a legal counsel here that you cannot understand him because he's on a Zoom meeting and he keeps cutting out.
So we're trying to save money for the district and not have him drive at his fees here. So we've been trying to keep our costs down. So he's on Zoom. But
Well, that's great.
wait,
As long as
let
you
me
can hear
finish,
it.
please. I understand that you're a very capable lady and we're top of your line. You're coming in on a part of the story. You're only heard part of the story. You don't know the whole story. So you're making great points, but a lot of them fall short of what has actually happened. So we are going to take care
Yeah,
of
but
it.
it's your responsibility to explain it to the public what's happening.
Well, it's such a big story. I mean, I took this position about a year ago and I keep getting amazed every time I come of the new turns and twists. So it's not something that is going to be told just really quickly or in one evening. But we are trying to take care of you the very best we can. And they're both great people. We're just.
I'm not saying anything about anybody.
Right.
I think
None of us
you've
are.
been
We're
a
just
great,
trying to do a great job and continue doing a great job.
so you all need to get on the same page.
And we're going to.
99%
community suffers when you're not.
99% of the time, we are on the same page.
I think Gary has a comment.
Yes, Gary?
I'm curious as to how you're gonna discuss this between now and next meeting, that you have everything settled, because as I heard, if three of you get together, that's a violation of the Brown Act. And it sounds like you've already violated it at some point.
So I believe that what the board is looking to do is bring an item to the agenda for the January board meeting to have that discussion at the board meeting and not have any discussion or dialogue before that meeting.
I would hope not. So according to Peggy, or in lieu of Peggy saying, why don't you have the discussion right now?
Here,
Can't do
here.
Anything between now and January to have a discussion. So why not have the discussion right now?
You know, it's easy to postpone it. The right thing is, it was on the agenda. We all knew, if you read like you're supposed to do to be a good director and to represent your constituents well, you should have known and been prepared. Okay, real simple. You want to start throwing nuts in the wrench into the machinery, we can do that.
If you
We
find
knew-
out that three people have talked and you're coming to talk at the meeting, you might say, wait a minute, this needs to be a public conversation with all of us, not a small portion of the group getting together and deciding which way they wanted to go. So that's the point of this. is to make sure that we're all on the same page and there's no steamrolling or manipulation of things. And everybody's still learning rules. The Brown Act can be tricky, but if a board member becomes aware that there's already a direction people are going, and you're walking in cold, so we'd like to start again and make sure that we do have a public discussion and that everybody plays by the rules.
I would like to do it right here and right now. Okay, I don't want to push it off till next year. We'll have other things coming in. I just don't find the need for it. I would like to put it on the table right here and right now. Okay, if you want to vote for somebody, you vote for them. If you don't, you don't. It's just, what's going to change between now and next month, except time, loss of time?
Yeah, or.
This is when it's specific to history. This is the protocol. This is a part of our December each year. Okay, there's no reason to postpone it. Okay, if a new director hasn't seen enough of each of us individually and does not want to support or does want to support another director, that's certainly their prerogative. But if we're not going to be able to, no one's going to want to talk about this at all because of the shadow behind this. What have we gained? We've lost a month. Okay, why are we not going to just talk about it and make the decision now? Are we cowardly? Are we afraid of something?
Can I
Does
speak?
somebody have something to hide? I sure don't.
Can I speak, Bob? The new board member is not a coward. If you're referencing myself as a coward, I take offense to that.
I said, we as a board, are we cowards?
No, we're not cowards.
The task ahead of us. I wasn't thinking of you, Mr. Van Pelt.
Bob, I
The
think it's
act,
very
I said,
apparent.
the act of cowardly.
I think it's very apparent that there are some procedural, right, differences or misunderstandings. I think it was very evident, right, that we had to potentially undo, right, a motion. I think it was the best interest of the whole board to take a step back so that when we come back to the next meeting, we understand that it's not the first person that throws his hat in the ring, as Director Redfern mentioned, to get a leg up. I don't know the procedures, the correct method, and I surely don't want any member of the board or the public to feel that they got slighted because they didn't speak up first. It's not a cowardly thing to do. I think it's a prudent and wise thing to do, especially on the events
that's your
that I saw.
opinion.
Exactly,
Like
and I stated my
everybody else, you've
opinion
got one.
as you stated your opinion. And if others want to state their opinion, go right ahead. This is not a cowardly move to delay when there simply is some disagreement or misunderstanding. That is the best interest, in my opinion, of all my constituents and fellow board members.
Well, you know, as a board member, if you were concerned, you could have come to the president and said, hey, I'm concerned, I'm unaware, I don't know what the protocol is, what the procedures, what the policies are. I would like a special meeting. Maybe we could define what you're asking for us now to delay. You had that opportunity for 30 days. Okay.
You know, Director D'Ambra, I think you're misunderstanding. I was listening to Director Redfern, who made a comment that he was unaware there's the first person that motioned to put a president in. If that's how it was going to go in a vote, then even myself and I'm sure is it the first person to put a motion up for president? And if that president got voted in, that there's no consideration for another president. Again, the 30 days, excuse me, Director D'Ambra, that has nothing to do with it. It's what I heard as a board member that seemed to be quite confusing, that we had to turn to our counsel, right, for clarification. If we had to turn to our counsel twice for clarification, then I would find that it'd be in the best interest of all of us to take a step back and to clarify it and then re-look at this at January meeting. 30 days in the large scheme of things is not a long time, especially about making the correct decision. I am open up if the board wants to. We've already made a motion. I got a second from Director Redfern. If we want to throw another motion out there, let's go and talk to Mr. Battles again, and maybe we open it back up for discussion. But I thought we closed it for discussion until January.
I don't think you had made the comment that because someone was recommended first or the word was the nomination, that they became president, what that did in essence, yes, it could make them president, or it could sideline them. It's strictly on the vote. So the person first receiving the nomination doesn't get the votes, then it goes, it's always worked like that. Has it not? As far as I know, it's.
No, it is not. There's been different things that have happened.
Well, then as president, this wasn't the correct procedure that we were following, or we were out of protocol, you as president should have said, hey, wait a minute, this is not how we do this. That is something that the current sitting president should have the knowledge and reference that and interrupt that and correct that at the time that that's transpiring if it's not correct.
We may be having a couple different conversations here, but I would like to call for the vote on the motion that's on the table.
Okay. At this time, the motion was made by Director Van Pelt to table the second nomination of Director Jones as board president and table the nominations of board president, vice president, committee members to the January board meeting. I have a second by Director Redfern. At this time, I will take a roll call vote. Director Redfern.
Aye.
Director Van Pelt.
Aye.
Director D'Ambra.
No.
Director Beard.
Aye.
Director Jones.
Aye.
The motion passes with a vote of 4-1.
Okay, then we can move on to the committees. Should we?
Real quick, if we could take a 5-minute break, our IT gentleman here is going to do a quick reconnect of the Zoom link. That way we can have better audio services.
Okay, so 5 minutes.
5-minute interim break, please.
And Jay, are you able to hear me there? Will Jay be able to determine if the problem is on my end or on your end? I haven't had a.
Because it's also happening to the Director Van Pelt. It seems to be on this end. I'm going to switch us to a cellular internet connection and see if that's better.
Okay.
I also have a very long Ethernet cable I actually did bring, so that's also an option if we.
If he's not familiar with the procedures or know anything about it, why is he sitting on this board? I mean, we keep getting guys that we have to train. Why?
You have to train me too, and I still don't know all of it.
Oh, Frank, you've been here forever. Don't tell me this baloney.
We're talking about the procedures.
I just don't think that we should be put through this.
Peggy, if I run for the next board, the next election, the general election, I would have to run everything from scratch. He didn't hear me. If I run the next.
Did you head off, Rick?
I don't
know if you can just turn your.
I don't know any of the procedures. Does that nullify me from being elected?
No, I'm still here. I was just muted.
Little bit of.
Perfect. Can you just talk for just like 30 seconds?
Sure. What would you like me to say? I can go over. There are different, I'll just comment that there are alternative procedures you can follow for electing officers. I've got an email that I prepared last year that gives you a couple of different options. And last year we followed one set of procedures. It's the same set of procedures we were following this year, but maybe the next board meeting, we can start off by deciding which procedure we're going to follow, because there's different ways of doing it. In my experience, and I've seen this come up a lot, once the nomination is made, it can get tricky regarding how the election proceeds. So we can talk about options and hopefully the process will go smoother next time around.
I appreciate that, Rick.
Did that come through clear from an audio standpoint?
Yes.
Much clearer.
This setup on Zoom works much better than it has worked up to this point. On my end, I can see the whole boardroom and all the board members, so I feel like I'm at the meeting. And it looks like you can see me on the monitor on the desk there, just one speaker at a time. But that seems like as long as the audio is working, it seems like it's a reasonably good setup, particularly compared to how it was, at the beginning of this whole Zoom thing.
It's also possible to see multiple people at the same time. Sometimes the mode does something weird, so I just leave it on a mode that, I don't know what people would prefer. If you prefer having it set up like this.
Can you,
Okay. Oh, no, it was going so
It
good.
was. You just totally cut out, Rick.
oh, is that right? I think I stopped talking. Are you able to hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I was going to comment on the display there. It's three different, what do you call that? The gallery view, I think. And I think that works fine. You can also set it on speaker view so that it shows just the person that's speaking, but only at the time when they're speaking.
Yeah, the one thing that's unfortunate is that we cannot have more than 4 videos on the screen at the same time. Even though like desktop versions of Zoom, like you have 40, this only supports 4. And it seems like it often requires one of them to be this boardroom. And I try to change the setting and it doesn't always work. Like it messes up other things. So.
You're doing great, Jay. We really appreciate all that you've done for us.
Totally.
So I think we're back. Is Director Van Pelt back? Yes, he says audio and video is off. And is it Milton Johns is a gentleman on our next agenda item?
I believe he may be the gentleman.
Yes.
Mr. Johns, can you hear me? Do I need to unmute you or could you please unmute?
I have. Can I be heard by the board?
Yes, first I'm going to introduce the topic, but then we will hear from you. So this is action 8E, request by Housing Authority of County of Santa Barbara to reduce capacity fees paid for the new construction of Harry's house. So is Wendy the person who's going to give us a
Yes,
staff
Wendy will be
report?
giving the staff report this evening, and she's familiar with this situation.
Okay.
Okay, so several weeks ago, I got a request by the Golden Inn and Harry's House to calculate the capacity fees. So they submitted their plans and staff went through their plans, and they originally, the plans looked like there was kitchens in the studio rooms. And so I calculated out the capacity fees based on their usage, based on what the plans included. And with that, it didn't appear to be that they would have kitchens in each room. When they submitted the project application actually said that each room had an efficiency kitchen. And so I Googled what efficiency kitchen was, and it's actually like a pre-built kitchen that you just put into the room. It's like a manufactured kitchen. And prior to that, the Golden Inn, back in 2016, 15-16, when the Golden Inn actually went in, we didn't have a category for senior living facilities. So when we did the rate study, and in 2016, Tuckfield and Associates included a senior living facility, veterinarian clinic, dentist, wine tasting categories in there, because we were having those, we have those businesses in here that we weren't charging capacity fees for. So in 2016, we created the category for senior living. And so that's how I calculated out the capacity fees based on what their plans showed. So with that, in your packet, you'll see the total due was $384,101.97. They originally paid the $297, $167.83 based on the fact that there were no kitchens in the studios. So I had to recalculate it out, and they owed, with the efficiency kitchens, they had to pay another $86,934.14 in capacity fees. And with that, I notified Monica. She was the one that I had been dealing with. And because the capacity fees are so substantial, she called back and she asked for clarification on how I calculated out the fees. And so I told her, and she asked if there was any way that we could relook at their fees. And I said I didn't have, staff doesn't have the authority to do that, but you're more than welcome to write a letter and request to be on the agenda, and the board can look at the costs, and it's up to the board to determine what they want to do.
Well, I would like to go to public comment with Mr. Johns, because I think you would like to say some things about it. Am I correct?
Yes, I would. Thank you, Madam Chair. Is the floor mine?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, it's difficult to determine exactly what's going on via Zoom. I'm not used to testifying in front of boards remotely. So yeah, thank you, Madam Chair and directors and staff, and Wendy, excellent job in summarizing the capacity fee calculation to date. We're very grateful for that and the opportunity to appeal those charges. Again, I'm Milt Johns. I'm with Surf Development, and I'm speaking on behalf of HASBARCO, Housing Authority of Santa Barbara County, for our project in Santa Ynez. And just for a quick reminder, it's a 60-unit low-income studio-only multifamily project on the corner of Refugio and the 246. It is a project that may be an outlier with respect to your fee schedule regarding impact fees. And I understand the very laborious calculations that go into assigning the fees, the studies that the wastewater treatment plant does in order to calculate fees for the different uses. And we have the highest regard for those fees, but I do think that they may be missing the mark with respect to our project. And the two areas of concern is that with the commercial kitchen and the efficiency units that are assigned to each room. The commercial kitchen is part of a meal plan that the tenants will be required to pay as part of the rent structure for the project. And again, these are very low income residents who we found historically rely on that meal plan. And so accordingly, the kitchens that are designed for this project are what we call efficiency kitchens that are equipped with a microwave, a small bar sink, a small refrigerator, and no garbage disposal. So these kitchens are really made for heating food, popping popcorn, kind of what I do as a bachelor at my place. They aren't designed to prepare or dispose of food. So again, no garbage disposal to that a normal residential kitchen would have. So our concern is that the commercial kitchen, in combination with the kitchen fee that is assigned to each studio, may be a bit onerous. So that's one area of concern. The other is our common area facilities. We have an office suite area that has been redesigned from a partitioned space. I think originally it was 8 offices that we had on the boards. We've reduced that to 2 offices with flex space. And again, this project is designed to serve only the tenants and has no commercial storefront whatsoever. So the office suites are designed for interfaces with social services, staffing services, administrative services, and the likes. The laundry facility and the hair salon, I would also submit that they may be open for review, as they may be treated as commercial facilities instead of serving only the population of the community itself. So those are 2 areas of concern. I would submit to the board that if this is something that they would entertain, reviewing their fee schedule and the impact fees overall, that I would be happy to come back to the meeting next month with additional analyses and comparison that the board may find useful in making a determination, because clearly there isn't enough information in my letter for the board to act on tonight. So I'm submitting that for the board's consideration also.
Mr. Johns, I would like our counsel, Mr. Battles, to weigh in. We've had some similar issues over the years that come before the board, and I think everybody on the board should be aware what the law is on this and how much leeway we have.
Well, there are provisions in your sewer code that allow you to make exceptions and modify the provisions of your sewer code in cases where a strict application would result in an inequitable result. So if there's a situation that the sewer code didn't contemplate and it's creating a hardship, an unfair hardship for a particular customer, you do have some discretion. You also have limitations on your ability to lower your fees for a particular customer. It could be viewed if you simply wanted to give a break to this project because it's low income or whatever. And I understand that's not what's being asked for here, but if you were to do something like that, that would be an improper gift to public funds. Basically, the other customers would be subsidizing this project. But so you do have flexibility under your code to address inequities, but at the same time, Proposition 218, which deals with fees, and other provisions of law require that your fees be proportional to the benefit that's provided and the demand that's put on your system. And so because the result is you're going to have these operating costs, and if this particular project pays less, it probably means everybody else is going to pay more. And so there's a legal requirement for proportionality based on things like the flow and strength of the wastewater that's coming from this particular facility. The rate ordinance is designed and intended to address the demands on the system that are created by a project like this. And it doesn't do it with precision. It does it by creating categories of users. And it's not a perfect system, because a perfect system would probably be you measure the amount of wastewater that comes out of each facility, you determine the strength of that wastewater, and you assign a fee accordingly. That's not practical from a technical or administrative standpoint. So essentially all agencies, wastewater agencies, will use categories like you use, and you have a rate consultant that strives to come up with fair categories that fairly correlate a particular user with a particular demand on the system. So that's what's been done here. And whether or not it is, precise enough and as accurate as other categories are, is hard to know. It's based on a model that is based on industry standards. A couple of comments that I can make is, if you look at the table of uses under the ordinance, there's a newly created category to address. The rate consultant came up with this new category of retirement facilities that's supposed to fairly assign capacity fees based on this type of use. So it assigns one capacity fee if you've got a room without a kitchen, and that's 0.47 of a single family residence. If it's a room with a kitchen, it's 0.7% or 0.7 of a single family residence. That's similar to the way the capacity fee is calculated for a motel. So there, if you've got a motel room without a kitchen, it's 0.47 of a single family residence. And if it's got a kitchen, it's 0.7. It would seem to me that those are fairly analogous, a motel room with a kitchenette versus a studio in a retirement community with a kitchenette. So that's one comment. The other comment I would make is it's not a perfect way of calculating capacity fees, and there are going to be variations. We heard a comment tonight from the public about a proposed ADU that would only be occupied a small percentage of the time. Our capacity fees are based on an entitlement, not an actual use. So when you pay a capacity fee, you've got an entitlement to make the full use of it. If somebody has a single family residence and they've got a second home out of state and they're only there part of the time, they're still going to be paying the full capacity fee because they've got that entitlement, and they're going to be paying a monthly service charge whether or not they're there actually flushing the toilets. That's the way these systems work. This approach to calculating and assigning capacity charges works this way by categories. So in my view, what would need to be established here is that that this particular retirement facility doesn't fit under this category. And an alternative that you could, in which case it would become an unclassified user. And that's a use that isn't under any of the categories. And if it's an unclassified user, then what you do is you look at the number of drainage fixture units and you calculate capacity fees on that basis. I don't know what the capacity fee would be if you went that route. You're not required to do that because it would seem to me that this probably qualifies as a retirement facility, and it's got, and these rooms with a kitchen come under that user category, and it may well fit under that category as well as any other use fits under the categories that they're put under. So I guess those would be my comments.
Does any of the directors have questions for Mr. Battles?
My only comment is, as you mentioned, that it is the retirement facility is basically calculated very similar to a motel.
Yeah, I made the comment that a motel room with the kitchen might be similar to a studio room in a retirement facility with a kitchen, and they both have the same assigned capacity fee.
Okay.
I have a question. The units for the residents to use, should we be charging them for the washing machine separately? Because normally if you had a one single family unit, it would have a washer and a dryer in it already, I would assume. And this has washing machines for all the residents in one spot. I don't know that.
As do motels.
As do motels, but do motels get charged separately for each washing machine?
Yes.
That I don't know. Yes. All right, so they do. And are we charging higher than a motel for this unit or for this?
It's the same.
The
So
same.
if you look at your schedule of capacity charges, it's in that packet. You'll see below it says non-residential. Underneath the non-residential line item 14 or 15, sorry, it says laundriettes per machine, each washing machine
Right.
is using
I see it,
0.74.
4,700.
I have, if your question's been answered, I have another question for him.
It is.
The gentleman. Why weren't the kitchenettes put on the first set of plans that were presented to us?
Can Mr. Johns answer that?
That's who I'm asking, yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy to. I do believe that they were on the plans. Again, if you look at them in elevation view, it's difficult to tell that it's a kitchen plan view, the same thing. I think they were called out as kitchenettes. There was, in the initial plan set though, they were called out.
That was on the initial, when you received your initial pricing from us? Wendy?
Yes.
In
Yeah.
the initial plans, there was like a gray box. So they have the studios, and in the studios, they showed the picture of a bathroom, and then they showed, I can't remember, like a closet or something, but then there was this little gray box that wasn't totally highlighted. And I did look on the plans to see if, because they have the index thing, if there was a gray thing, a gray rectangular, and I even had a discussion with the other staff. It's like, I wonder what that box is. Maybe it's just a couch. We couldn't see anything in it, but it was only a matter of, like 2 or 3 days that we noticed that. And then when they sent in their project application, it said efficiency kitchens.
Okay.
So it's not like they didn't include it. It very well could have been.
Okay.
Sir,
I don't think there was any intention to obfuscate the kitchens. I think it was really more of a question of what the size and capacity of the kitchenettes were.
Okay.
And Bob, you have a question?
Sir, I have a question for you. Is there a requirement on amount of people per unit?
Yes, there's a requirement for 1 person per unit.
1 person? Okay.
I'd like to get, I think Miss Ivy have a question or comment.
Can you give me the dollar amount of the reduction in fees? What's the bottom line?
We don't know that.
You're talking about if we were to charge them for kitchenettes and not kitchenettes?
Pardon?
If we were to charge them with rooms with kitchenettes versus non-kitchenettes?
No, aren't they making a petition to reduce their capacity fee charge?
Yes, but they did not.
What is the difference between what they were originally charged and what they want it reduced to?
Mr. Johns did not submit a total amount for reduction. He's just making his points on why each line item seems to be excessive.
Okay,
And as he mentioned, he's willing to come back and explain his fees in further detail and possibly provide calculations for that. Is that correct, Mr. Johns?
Yes, it is. Thank you. Well said.
and so was their capacity fees included in that calculation?
No,
What about the 208?
no, the 246 under crossing only serves the people north of Highway 246.
So that had nothing to do with our capacity fees?
That is correct.
Okay.
And do we have any similar facilities in our district right now? Like we have the congregate living by Ace Hardware. I'm not sure of the name of the owner of building I'm talking about. Was built maybe 15 years ago.
Is it possible that we could get a picture of one of these units so we would understand what we're even looking at for sure? Like a completed unit?
Mr. Johns?
Would you like a floor plan or an elevation plan?
How
what
about
kind
a
of?
photograph of the kitchen, for instance?
They're not built yet.
No, they're not built yet.
No.
So how are these different than phase 1?
Good question. I can't answer that offhand. I wasn't part of phase 1. I know that phase 1 has got different floor plans, I think up to 2 units. So, of course you have a studio that allows only 1 occupant and different occupancy rates depending on the number of bedrooms. So I'm sorry, I can't speak to that.
I think my biggest concern is that we treat everybody equally and not do carve outs for certain groups. But I think what you're asking is fair and reasonable, but I think we need more information.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I should have underscored that we really aren't looking for any special treatment. We understand the design behind those fees, and council put it very well about the calculations of the engineering that goes into determining them. We just would like to have a closer evaluation of the computations, and tonight obviously isn't the night for that. And if this might be continued to next month, I'd be happy to provide additional analysis that the board could use in determining if they would like to review it further or make a motion to consider a reduction.
And this request that we got from the Housing Authority of the County of Santa Barbara, I think that's part of where Miss Ivy's question comes from, because you're making us familiar with the project, but you say a residential project serving very frail seniors who often previously homeless and unable to care for themselves. So it's like making a compassionate argument for it in the letter. But I hear you saying that for you, it's all about the usage, that you think maybe this shouldn't be treated as a regular kitchen since it's an efficiency, more like a sink and a microwave and a hot plate kind of deal.
Yeah.
And as far as garbage disposal, I don't have a garbage disposal, so I don't think that's what makes it a kitchen.
Yeah.
So
Well,
what does make it a kitchen?
I think council put it very well, that it can't be an emotional decision. I think that narrative was put in there in part to emphasize the fact that the residents will be very reliant on the commercial kitchen, that they won't be using their studio kitchen well. We're not looking for a gift of public funds. We are looking at just an arm's length evaluation of the fee.
If I could make one other comment, I meant to say this. It would also be an option for your board to bring a rate consultant, Clayton Tuckfield, into the discussion. And he was the one that was responsible for creating this category, I believe, and then assigning an equivalent residential unit percentage to it. And he could be asked the question whether this project, as now more completely described, fairly fits under those categories based on his modeling experience and industry standards.
That's
So
more
what
than
you
we
would
would
need-
ask for. Yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. So what we would need to do then would be to direct staff. We would take a vote to direct staff to get that information from Tuckfield and Associates to present at the January meeting. And Mr. Johns be prepared to show us what these look like, submit something to staff. Is that what we're looking for, do you think?
So we're directing staff based off of Rick's comments is to reach out to Clayton Tuckfield, who compiled the original capacity fees, and see if this project still fits into the fees that he put into this structure.
Correct, without having to, I don't think he needs to do a full presentation to us at our.
We would
cost.
not bring him back to the meeting. What we're doing is reaching out for him for his professional opinion and his recommendation.
So does that sound good? Mr. Johns would present something that gave us a better view and talk about it again with input from Tuckfield and Associates, and then we could make our decision based on that information.
We would get that information to Tuckfield and.
Yeah, he would need that.
So, Mr. Johns, is it possible to get us your calculations, your assessment of this project within the next week or two, so that way staff has that available to present to Mr. Tuckfield for review, and he can determine if this fits into the current model?
Absolutely. We'd be very grateful for that opportunity.
Perfect. And then we can bring it back to the board based off of your input, based off of Clayton's input, and make a better presentation for the board to make a decision.
Excellent. That's more than fair. Thank you for the consideration.
Thank you.
So, Rick, do we need to get a motion here?
Sorry, I had to mute myself. Our janitor just arrived here at the office and he's got the vacuum outside my door. I think it would be advisable to do it by way of a motion.
Okay, so what I'm looking for is a motion to direct staff to reach out to Tuckfield and Associates to work with the information provided by Mr. Johns and staff and represent at the January meeting.
Perfect.
I have a comment before you take that. The Tuckfield cost should be bared by Village Inn.
Well,
Whether-
there probably won't be a cost because it's just a phone conversation, correct?
I can't
Say
confirm
that.
or say that he would.
And I'm just,
Okay.
okay, if any cost should be on them for any investigation to, if any deduction is agreed to, that has to be calculated on to their cost. This board, this district should not absorb the cost to reduce their bill at the cost of the 800 people that we serve.
Mr. Johns, did you understand that?
I do, yes. I think we can work with staff on understanding their fee schedule and maybe determining a cost not to exceed. And the Housing Authority, Surf Development would be happy to pick up that cost.
And Wendy, do we have a policy or procedure in place for when you're doing this kind of work? Normally it goes to the person asking. Like if you get a call like from the people in Los Olivos trying to do, is that on their dime or our dime?
Well, for this, you're talking totally two separate situations.
Okay, get one that fits better, because I agree with what Bob's saying, that we don't want to be out district funds. So, but what is
It's easy
standard?
enough to enter into a verbal agreement with the Santa Barbara County Housing that any fees received by Mr. Clayton Tuckfield will be passed on to Santa Barbara County to pay those fees. And
Okay,
that's something that we would have direct billing from Clayton Tuckfield to Mr. Johns.
okay, and Mr. John said that was fair and accepts that. So the motion was made, and was it seconded?
I don't know who made the motion.
Okay.
He made the motion. I'll
Okay.
second it.
All right, so we have a motion by Director Redfern and a second by Director Beard to direct staff to reach out to Clayton, Tuckfield and Associates and to work with the Harry's House to determine the capacity fees. We'll do a roll call vote. Director Redfern, Director Van Pelt, Director Van Pelt,
Aye.
Director Beard,
Aye.
Director Deambra,
I,
Director Jones.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Karen, can I just make one comment?
Yes.
I don't think there was a special category for the people that had been paying for a sewer since 1995
Mhm.
on my capacity fees. So when you consider that, I'm one of the 800 people. No consideration was given, and I paid you guys for being connected to a sewer without service since 1995. I just want to throw that out there. That needs to be taken into consideration when you're talking about treating everyone fairly. I just want to say that.
I think we do, and I think that was Mr. Battle's point. We can't have one group pay for another group. It needs to be fair. Okay, anything else? Then we can move on to F, which is consideration and adoption of resolution number 2114, authorizing remote teleconference meetings of the district legislative bodies pursuant to government code section 54953E. So I'll give that to you, Jose.
As presented at the previous two board meetings, this will allow the board to continue operating remotely via Zoom, attendance via Zoom, and allowing the public to attend via Zoom for the meetings as well. So being able to continue the board meetings via teleconference. This would take effect under SB 361, AB 361, I apologize, would be the directive that we would fall under for this policy.
Okay, do we have a motion to,
I have a question.
yes,
we can only put 4 people or 3 people on the screen. What are we gonna do when there's a meeting with more than 3 people?
Well, they'll still be on the Zoom platform.
Just their face won't be on the screen.
All right, so we can still put 16 people in a meeting if we need to via Zoom,
Just don't have the visual.
right? Okay, that was my question, so.
I do too.
Okay, is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Director Beard has made the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Director D'Ambra seconded, so Wendy.
All right, so we have a motion by Director Beard and a second by Director D'Ambra to adopt resolution number 21-14, authorizing remote teleconference meetings of the district's legislative bodies pursuant to Government Code Section 54953E. We'll do a roll call vote. Director Redfern, Director Van Pelt,
Aye.
Director Beard,
Aye.
Director D'Ambra,
Aye.
Director Jones.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Did I not give you an opportunity to make a comment about that one?
Well, it wasn't open for public comment.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I just, if you're gonna do your teleconference, that's great, I can understand it, but it has to be set up when the people can hear it, the public can hear it and understand it. Otherwise, it's useless.
We agree.
Yeah. And it's getting better, but it's still not up to snuff. I hear you. Okay, so G is to call for nominations for one LAFCO regular special district member and notice of election. So if there is anyone who, go ahead and give the staff report. Maybe Jose or Lori?
Yes.
Okay.
So what we're looking for is a nomination of any of the board members who are interested in sitting on the LAFCO board of directors. There's one open position at this time.
Anyone interested, and you would be running?
You'd be running against other nominations throughout the special districts. And there are a total of
20.
30 something special districts within the county.
I don't see anyone stepping up to volunteer.
No.
So I don't think, I think we should move on and just not nominate anyone. So no action. Okay.
Can we comment?
Yes.
So for what it's worth, that also is actually my seat that, because I'm up for my term. So
You're gonna run?
yeah, Spencer's been on AD again. I'm gonna run. I don't know if I'll win.
See, I was going to, but I don't want to run against.
I will not take offense if you nominate something. But I thought that I should actually mention the fact that it is my seat.
Well, I think it's good to know, and as a board, I'm sure we'll have an opportunity to discuss who we want to vote for. So
Yes.
anyway, okay, very good. Then we can move on to informational items. Wendy, do you have something?
Yes, we have the treasurer's report and. Can I borrow yours? Okay, no, they did not.
No.
Okay, so we are delayed on doing this. This is for the quarter ending September 30th, 2021 because of the software conversion. And as of 9/30/21, we had $13,421.82 in the mechanics checking. In the mechanics money market, $170,825. LIF had $162,599.14. The 5-star checking had $100,798.12. The 5-star money market had $3,818,421.09. 5-star, the Horizon project account had $640,957.23. And the CD account has $1.82. We kept that in there to keep the account open in case the interest rates go up and we can invest in the CDs. leaving us with a total of $4,907,024.22. The interest rates for LIF was 0.34%, and in the 5-star money market account, it was 0.315%. And we earned a total of $1,358.65 in interest. All right.
Do we have any public comments or questions from the board? Okay, well,
So that's an informational item.
okay, well, very good, Wendy, thank you. We are going to adjourn for a closed session. We're going to move to close, so we're going to, what is it? 7:30, we're going to go into closed session.
So public comment.
Public comment first. The matters in our closed session are our labor negotiations. If you have any public comment before we go into close. And then we're also going to discuss our general manager's annual evaluation.
Also, is that going to call in?
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
I'm stopping.